What is up, guys? Welcome back to the locker room. I am your host and your favorite Kansas City girl, Kennedy Bright. And as always, what is said in the locker room stays in the locker room. Get your playbooks ready, guys. You guys have been messaging me shockingly, asking for another episode. I'm like, oh my God, people actually really care. People actually want to listen to my crazy life. Like, it was amazing. And I thank you guys so much. And you guys have been like, where have you been? As you saw, my last episode was a very deep one for me. And of course, it took kind of a lot out of me. But actually, the topic of what this episode is about is really why and where I've been and why it's taken me so long to be putting out more episodes. So, in this episode, I'm really going to dig deep into the whole process of really why I created the podcast in the first place and why it's called Locker Room Talk. Because I wanted it to be a place where people can be real, be vulnerable, where you can be honest, just like in a locker room you change your clothes in there, you get naked, there's no cameras, no recording, nothing allowed because people are being vulnerable. And I want it to be that same place, that same environment and space for us here. So today's topic is one that is on the more vulnerable side for me and a bit more open, and me really letting you guys in on how I think and process. For the longest, what I'm going to say, I do not want anyone to know, because I want everyone, whoever is a hater. Now, if you're my close friend, you're going to know, how I think. You're going to know what I feel. But for people who want to see me fall, I feel like this is giving them the great ammo that they need. And really, it's not. But that's how it's always felt. So for me, I feel like I am being vulnerable. And I honestly think what I've been going through, what I go through in life, everyone probably has gone through it at a time in their life, if not already right now. And I want you guys to know you're not alone. And as always, I'm not perfect. Well, no one's perfect, but I don't have the answers to everything. I'm not this crazy successful person. But at the same time, I'm really able to let you know, okay, this is what didn't work. I don't want to wait till I'm successful to then go ahead and share my success with you. I want you to do this journey with me, and I want all of us to get through life together. So let's just go straight into it. By now, especially if you saw the last episode, then you guys know I went through a lot of trauma in college. And honestly, I blame myself for pretty much all of it. And you're probably like, why? Who says that? Who blames themselves? No, I'm not saying I blame myself for the acts itself that happened, but I definitely blame myself for why I was in those spaces, in those environments. Because I didn't have enough self-esteem or self-worth or value to know that if I am not a college athlete, it's okay. Because I felt if I was not an athlete, that basically I was nobody. And if I didn't think that way, I wouldn't even have been to all of these schools. I wouldn't have met these people. I wouldn't have went through what I went through, because everything all came from me constantly wanting to achieve this goal of running track at the highest level. That was all it was, and that's why I was at these schools. That's why I was in these environments. That's why these things happen, because I felt I have to do this. I have to run track in college. And it's like, why? For what? It wasn't for Kennedy. I actually hated running track. At the same time, that wasn't for me. I didn't want to go to the Olympics, but it was all because of the mindset my parents and my dad had raised us to have, is without things, these things, you don't have value. And he taught us that in all the ways that was needed without using the words. The only thing is, I'm the only kid who bought that story, and I pay the price for it every single day. And I sit back and I think about my why. Why did I keep trying to run? It was because I wanted no one to ever say Kennedy was not good at track because she didn't run at the college level. And it sounds so simple, like, well, that's dumb, but it was a lot deeper than that, just for me, it wasn't just track, it was everything. I never wanted it to be a place where people cannot tell me that I'm not one of the greatest at what I do, that I don't do it well, or that I wasn't good at it. That was always, I never wanted to be a has-been in any part of my life. I never wanted to be invisible. And it didn't, like I said, it didn't just stop with sports. It was honestly everything. One that I'm sure we all can relate to, sorority life, whether you're black or white, everyone a lot of people dream about, wanting to join a sorority. My dad is a part of a fraternity, actually the oldest and the first Black Greek organization at that. And because of that, somehow that makes him a little bit more superior and adds cushion to who he is and his resume and, to the whole person. And of course, it falls completely into the family motto. The more organizations you're a part of and titles and degrees you have, the more valuable you are as a person. And I'm going to go ahead and say, since my dad is not here, and can't speak for himself, maybe, it was never his intention to make me feel that my value as a female, was less than, without all of these things, these worldly things. But that is how it came off, and that is the impression, and that is the stamp it left on my life. And my siblings, like I said, they got the same thing, but they weren't going for it, okay? And here I am, 24 years old, reteaching myself it's okay to just be Kennedy without the degrees, no organizations, no clubs, no societies, just be you. Everything you're born with inside of you is enough. Everything in your head, that is who makes you who you are, not those things, but who and what is inside of you already. You already have everything you need. You just got to go and create it. And that sounds so cliche, but for people who are listening who understand exactly what I'm talking about, these worldly things, and not worldly as in like cars and designers. I'm not talking about that, or like money. I'm talking about things that, we are in a society where you need a degree to be successful, and, you need to have a career, those kinds of things that aren't necessarily seen as like, extra, but things that we do see that put you on a higher level. And if you're one that's in college, about to go to college, been to college, whatever, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you're in high school, same difference. You're stressed about which school I'm going to go to. You're thinking about, oh my God, what clubs, how good is my resume going to look to a college? How good is my application going to look? And we think that if we have all these things, that it makes us, and like I said, not things, excuse me, these educational things a lot of times, that it's going to make us a better person. And it's not true. And that's why I say, like, I'm reteaching myself that what makes Kennedy a great person is actually just Kennedy. It's actually not the things that I have or what schools I went to. My birthday's in March 25th, okay? And from March and April, I had spent the entire months crying. Like literally crying, because I was like, I am in crazy anxiety. I'm like, I'm turning 24 this year. I have no college degree. I have no big time job, no college, athletic accomplishments, nothing. I live at home at the time. I was like, I own my own car, and that's literally about it. I'll be sitting in the living room in actual tears, like not just sad, like sobbing, like literally crying, picturing myself going on a date with a man and him asking me, so tell me about yourself, and feeling as though like I literally have nothing to offer. And that's like the saddest thing ever, because girl, let me tell you something. Kennedy Alexis Bright, that's me if you don't know. I'm very confident, okay? Like, trust me, I know I look good on the outside. I'm beautiful, okay? So I know looks wise, I bring a lot to the table, but I'm also not an airhead. And I know that it takes more than just looks, you know what I'm saying, to make someone really, hopefully, that has enough sense to truly be into someone. So I'm thinking, yeah, I look good. I got to the date part, but what do I have to keep him, around? And I think no one should ever feel that a job, sports, degrees, school, organizations, clubs, whatever adds to their value or what they bring to the table, because it doesn't. That's not who you are. Those are not your things. You see what I'm saying? And so I think I needed to get to that point. And it kept reoccurring to me all the way to my actual birthday dinner. My mom, my sister, and my best friend Josh. If you follow me on TikTok or just any of my social media, you guys know who Josh is. And Josh fits into the category as pretty much most to all of my friends. They're all graduated college, have their careers, living their best life. We're all 24, 25. Now, Josh in particular, he has a master's degree as well as his bachelor's, and he played football in college and he played in the NFL. So for me, looking at Josh has reached his peak in life. He is just coasting at this point, I mean, now the man has 2 cars. Like, come on. And of course, at my dinner, he's trying to set me up with one of his friends, right? So he's showing me his friends. He comes across this one who I was like, okay, he's kind of cute. He was also a former college athlete as well. That checked my box. I'm just kidding. No, actually he did. And he has a career, and he's like, Kennedy, like, he's real cool, blah, 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 blah. My boy got money. He makes 6 figures. I'm like, okay, downfall. Because I'm like, shoot, well, if he's making all this money, then he gonna be looking at me like, what this girl do? She ain't bringing nothing to the table, And so I was just like, oh, thanks. But I'm really like, crap, like, this is lovely. I always never want to be, how girls talk about bummy dudes that they don't want. I don't want to be that girl that is actually the bummy girl. Trust me, I'm not, but you know what I'm saying. I was like, I ain't gonna let one of these dudes be up here like, she ain't got nothing. I'm like, well, technically I had a semester left of college. Let's get it correct. Okay. But that was just kind of how I was feeling at the time. We moved forward a couple of weeks later. Josh, my sister, and I were going to go get something to eat when my sister got to school. Like, that's our thing. And we're sitting here, and as always, me and my sister always joke and say Josh talks to us like he's our father. Like, I don't know who he thinks. He's a year older than me and 7, I guess, older than my sister. Like, why do you talk? He talks to us like we're our children. But anyways, and as always, he's getting on me. as a true friend should. What are you going to do with your life? Have you been on LinkedIn? Have you been looking for jobs? Now, if you know, my major is journalism. So I'm like, you can't get no job without no journalism degree. I'm like, I can't get a job. It's like, you need to make connections, and lecturing me. And I'm like, I can't get a job. I don't have a degree. Like, I don't. It's like, well, fine. Don't go back to school then. What do you want to do? What about your social media stuff? Like, it's not good. I'm not good at it. And we get to a point where I'm literally in the car and I'm crying. Okay. And he's just trying to explain to me that it can have and I'm just like it's literally like it's not even going in one ear out the other. It's not even coming to my head. Like, I'm just crying and I'm feeling so down and like thinking so negative about myself. Like, and for some people, like, everyone goes through these phases, but at this point in my life, I've never been at this point. I've always been a really good athlete. My teachers always loved me. I did well in school. I was a part of clubs, organization. I've always been more than just Kennedy, which also I think has hindered me in some points because I am more than just those things, but that's how it feels, right? And I'm in this season in my life where I have never felt so lost before, you guys. Like, I feel lost. I feel lonely. I feel like I'm a nobody. And everyone goes through those phases. You see the movies, the kid in the hallway at school, and they're like, oh, I don't have anything, and I'm not part of anything. They just go to class, got their backpack, be getting bullied, like that kind of stuff. You see those kids in movies and stuff, like I was saying, where they actually have felt like a nobody or no one sees them. They go to the football. Like, everyone know who Kennedy Bright was. Kennedy Bright walks into a room, who I am. And it's still that way. Don't get it twisted. But I've never have felt like the other end of not being a part of anything. And it was just weird. I really kind of was sitting with who is just Kennedy. And as you guys may know, I'm in therapy. In therapy, we work to unpack things, your thought processes. Like, duh, that's a therapist's job, right? I haven't seen this therapist for about a year. She's always getting on me about, Kennedy, your problem is you have a perfectionism mindset. I'm like, no, I don't. Textbook definition to me is someone who has a 4.0 GPA. They are valedictorian. They're part of all these clubs. Like this great athlete or whatever, mathlete, whatever it is that they're good at, they're going to be good at it. And I'm like, Miss Ma'am, if Kennedy Alexis Bright is a perfectionist, honey, I would have been already, on the national stage running track. I would have stayed in soccer at the same time. I would have won me a national championship. Okay. I would have had a 4.0. I was on the dean's list in college. Okay. Don't get it twisted. My grades was good, but I would have been like one of the smartest people you would have known, on paper, of course. This is all paper things. Just remember that. And I'm like, I'm not a perfectionist. Like, can you stop saying that? Can we get to the real source of the problem? Stop saying that. Because if I was a perfectionist, I'd have so much more in my life right now. Okay. I finally figured it out. Like I'm saying, it's a year later. And y'all gonna be like, girl, this is how you figured it out? I was literally sitting one night watching Grownish. And if you know, life imitates art. That show every season seems to align with Kennedy Bright's life. I love it. Okay. And I had wrote down the revelation when it happened. And I'm going to read it to you directly. So this is it's literally titled The Revelation of Kennedy. I took it in my notes. It's pinned at the top. Okay. April 14th, 2:43 a.m. So technically it's April 15th, but like, if I ain't went to bed yet, the next day hasn't started. Okay. Even though it's 2 a.m., the next day has not started. Okay. Let me get into it. I realized that the reason I can't get over not running track in college or having a degree is because it makes me feel like a failure. Qualifying for state every year and never placing or medaling due to my crippling anxiety to where I would black out of races just wasn't enough. Went to state in 3 different events, all 4 years, still wasn't enough. Went to nationals without consistently training, still not enough. And I'm talking about, by the way, like AAU nationals, like when I was in high school. Okay. Back to the note. I have to learn that just because I don't reach my, in quotes, peak doesn't mean I'm a failure. I gave up track. I gave up soccer. I dropped out of school. I is a key word in all of it. Not because I wasn't good enough, but because I'm the one who did it and I'm the one who chose to take that path. And what I'm afraid of is because I'm not in school anymore or not playing those sports and didn't become the best I could be at the highest level, that means to others that I just wasn't good enough to make it or succeed or graduate college, which isn't true, nor should it matter what they think. I need to know that I am great and a success without those things. My fear of failure comes from my dad's pressure and never wanting to feel like I have to answer to someone saying I'm not enough because I don't have a degree or don't have medals. Not true. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make me a failure. And I choose to not go back to school until I'm comfortable in my skin and being alone with just Kennedy without any accolades or letters behind my name. Because degrees in athletics don't make me me. I make me me. And I'm stuck with for my whole entire life. And I need to be okay with being just with me. I never understood that until randomly watching Grownish and Jazz not making it to the Olympics. How? I don't know, but I did. LOL. So yes, in story. And at that moment, that's like when I figured it out, you guys. She was upset because she made it to the Olympic trials, but she didn't make it to the Olympics. And I'm like, girl, why do you care? Like, you literally made it to Olympic trials. Like, girl, be happy, you know, you didn't make it to Olympics. But I'm like, Kennedy, how can you tell her that she should be happy, but you can't even be happy with your accomplishments? Okay, make that make sense. And that's when I kind of realized what my whole process, I don't know how, still to this day, but that's how I came and I realized it. You know, that fear of disappointment, that fear of not being good enough. And I guess that does, you know, is perfectionism. But because I have such bad anxiety, I never can get to the point of even trying to be perfect because I'm so anxious. Like this episode, I recorded this episode, you guys, the first time back in May. Okay. Right before my sister's graduation. Recorded it in May. So probably like the 15th of May, I want to say. Didn't like it. Like I need to, you know, redo it. Start to redo it. And here we are, like 3 months later, it's July. And I'm just not actually doing the episode because I've been so anxious about wanting it to be a certain way. I feel like the reason my mindset has been this way is because when I was brought up, all of my successes were never seen as good unless they were literally number one, you know, and always made me to feel like I wasn't good enough. And I think we as a people, and forget everybody else, the people in this locker room, okay, because we can't control the world. What we need to do is we need to start celebrating our wins, rather how big or how small they are, because you have to realize that it's ours, regardless of anyone else's success. You did what you did. Okay. So, for instance, my brother is graduating college right now, this month, July. Congrats to him. He moves to New York. He got a job with Bank of America's corporate office, and he's literally like today, all of his stuff got sent here, and they're moving him out there, everything. My brother's about to graduate college. He's going to beat me to it, right? Okay. Let's say I go back to college in about 5 years. I can't be like, yeah, I graduated college, but I wasn't first. My brother graduated before me. Like, no. Kennedy, you graduated college. That is an accomplishment. It needs to be, we really need to focus in our life and seeing it as our own lane, you know, not seeing it as what someone else is doing. Our accomplishment is ours, you know, and that's something that I wish I would have done when I was younger and like when I was running, to be happy about the milestones, my personal best, my personal this, you know, be happy about that and not seeing everything as this huge big picture. And really now I'm starting to celebrate my wins. That's what I'm going to do. You know, no matter what it is, I'm going to celebrate it. Someone else's podcast or whatever could do way better than mine. They can have more Instagram followers on their, you know, social media, you know, TikTok page or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm moving forward. As long as I'm moving forward, I need to be happy about the progress that I'm making and only see my lane. I need what is it that they have? Them horses, y'all? The blinders, you know, I need to be straight tunnel vision. Before, one thing I learned in therapy, before you can even change anything, you have to know first where it came from. You got to know where you're at in life. So for instance, if you guys are also dealing with this or like realizing like, wow, you know, you got to go back to the source. So I'm going to take y'all back to Kennedy's source. We're going to go back in time a little bit, but we ain't going to go too far. We're going to start when I started in high school. So like I said, in high school, I started running track my freshman year. And some of my great accomplishments were I broke, I think, 4 school records at that time. I was the only freshman in the state of Missouri to qualify in the 100 meter field. I was a district champion as well. And I was running against girls who were going to these huge universities. And it was like a huge accomplishment to be able to be on the same stage as them, right? But because I didn't make it to finals or win, it wasn't enough. Like I told you guys earlier in like the little note I have really bad anxiety, and it didn't really heighten until I ran track. Soccer was good. I'm a team player. I love being a part of a team. Feel like I'm doing my part, and I like feeling like I'm helping others. Track, you're by yourself, except, you know, the relay. And that was not, you know, that wasn't the case for me. Like I said, after I went all 4 years, every single year, I would get lectured or ripped apart by my dad, like for hours, you know, after the race, you know, because I wouldn't medal. Just thinking back to it is just like, ugh. I had made a video actually when I first started my YouTube channel and about why I didn't want to run track in college. Okay. One of my dad's family members saw it. They didn't like it. I got in trouble, which now if they would have told me now, like what I'm about to say, I would have been like, yeah, no thanks. They wanted me to take it down because it made my dad look bad or whatever, but it was true. I actually think I'm going to go make it public again so you guys can have that reference. It's going to be way down there. I literally had it. It's like I said, it'll be 2015. But it was like always bad. You know, I was always basically in trouble. Like there were so many people who were at home who didn't even make it to state, who didn't make it past conference, who didn't make it past districts, sectionals, who didn't make it there at all. And here I am doing that, running track for a year. Like that was, you know, I just started using blocks. There was so much that like I had overcome in such a short amount of time to get to that point. It's ridiculous. I should feel better, but I would get so nervous before every race. You guys, it started at sectionals. I would kind of like black out. Like I can't tell you, I didn't remember running. In my senior year, I started doing the hurdles in April. State is in May. I qualified for state and I broke the school record. I was the only person from Kansas City to actually be there representing Kansas City in the 300-meter hurdles. I've been doing it for like a month. My form was trash, but I was fast, so it helped. And I have really good stamina from soccer. If you think about it, in soccer, you're sprinting, then you're jogging. There's no timeouts. So I'm used to that running and kind of maintaining. I was so proud of myself. I was happy. That became my 5th school record, but it still was a problem because I'm like, how can you be upset? That was the first time I ever was like, wow, these girls are just better than me, you know? And I was okay with it myself. Plus, at this point, I was in a really dark depression phase my senior year. So that was a whole nother thing. I don't think I had enough energy to even entertain my dad's upsetness, about me running. A time where another example of like, this should be a celebrated moment. I just did this in like less than a month. Like, can we not, be happy about this? And it wasn't just like I said with sports, it was when it came to the college choice process between when I chose Missouri State or Marquette. My dad literally stopped talking to me, you guys, because I did not choose to go to Marquette University because I wanted to go to MSU. Stop talking to me, literally. If you don't know the differences, Missouri State is a state school. It's Division I. It's a mid-major school. But my coach there had like a lot of Olympians. Like he was good. I need to be in that program, right? Marquette is a Jesuit school. It's where Dwayne Wade went. It's in Wisconsin. It's Jesuit. It's private. It's very prestigious. I'm like, do you know what it would look like to have a degree from Marquette? I'm like, I'm gonna have a degree regardless, and they're gonna take it. Okay, these schools don't teach me nothing. I make these degrees look good. I put my foot down, and I chose to go to Missouri State because I wanted a good education, and I also wanted to become the best. I wanted to graduate college knowing that I ran at the best I could be. I didn't want to go to the Olympics. I wanted to be the best Kennedy could be and run the best times I could be. And I wanted to leave with no regrets. And so that was why I chose to go there. Plus, Missouri State had a journalism program and Marquette actually didn't. All they had was communication. So they only got my major, dude. So no, I wanted to, be there. But that was a problem because it wasn't the top school. It wasn't the best option. Well then, it wasn't enough. If you don't know, I'm dyslexic with a math read disability. As you can imagine, school was hard for your girl, okay? My parents didn't get me diagnosed until even after I graduated high school. So I'm taking the ACT and stuff without my without my test, without just everything. All right. My disability, to give you an idea of how severe it is, to the point where after I was diagnosed, they wanted me to literally only take 6 hours in college a semester. If you haven't been in college, you don't know how hours work. That means 2 classes. Like, that's how bad my learning disability is. They needed me to only take 2 classes. I said, yeah, that's dead. That's not happening. Give me a full load. We're a full student here. I've been doing it my whole life. I'm good. I don't need any slack. I'll take my extra time. But that was how bad my learning disabilities were. And the first time I took the ACT, okay, or 12, I think I got a 12. It was a 12. And one of my friends got a 14, and ain't nothing wrong with her, right? And so it was really hurtful, whatever. I went ahead, I took one of the classes, prep classes, and I ended up actually getting a 16, which I was super proud about. But because I needed a 19 by NCAA requirements, of course it wasn't enough for my dad. And finally, when I went and got diagnosed, the doctors, like I said, they were like, well, okay, wow, your learning disabilities are so bad. Like, how have you not dropped out? Like, usually people who have such severe learning disabilities that you do, always end up dropping out of school because school is just too hard. And I'm like, out of school? I didn't know that was even an option. They were shocked that I got the 16. They're like, we can't even believe you were able to get this 16 without the extra time. And if I remember correctly, the test, everything's different. Okay. And that was the first time I really felt validated with my accomplishments, getting that testing done. I was like, oh my God, wow. Like, thank you. So I am smart. I'm not just smart. I knew I was smart. Let me tell you, I knew I was smart, but I was really seeing like, wow, I'm doing good, And that was one of those small wins that really made me feel good. It didn't come from my parents, so it still wasn't enough, but it did help a little bit. And it's just always this thing that no matter what my personal life circumstances are, my disabilities, everything, I still needed 32 on that ACT. Haven't ran track. First time I ran track, still needed to win state. Doesn't matter what's hindering me from my quote unquote accomplishments. If they weren't met in my parents' eyes, they weren't met. Everything had to be top tier. Everything had to be number one or it wasn't enough. And that's not true. And it made me feel like that was part of my self worth. And it nearly has been costing me my mental health, costing me my life. And to be honest, as you guys know about what happened to me in college. I was in such bad places to a point where doctors and therapists were telling me that I need to get checked into, like a treatment healing center, not the mental institute. Let's get that straight. But, like those recovery places, they were like, you need to be around more people. You need to be around more doctors who can help you, do some group therapy and stuff. And I was like, no, I can't take no time off school. I got to graduate. We can't do that. And they're like, you need to be somewhere like, you've been through a very severe trauma. And I'm like, no, I can do it. Once I graduate college, I'll be good. When I graduate college, I promise y'all, I'm going to go to any healing retreat. I'll go to any country you want me to go to. I'll go to California, Florida. I'll do the water treatments, whatever. Once I graduate college. And they're like, in their head, baby girl, you're not going to be alive if you keep going the way you're going. I'm like, no, it's cool. I got it. I can do it. Everything was, I have to graduate college. If I don't have this degree, I'm nothing. Once I get my degree, I can breathe. Then I can heal. Then I can recover from all of this, But then as I got close to my graduation last fall, then I'm like, oh my God, what job am I going to get? Then it became, okay, I know I said when I graduate college, we'll go and heal. How about we'll go and heal after we make sure, we sign with the NFL team, the social media coordinator, or, maybe we'll get a job at ESPN, then we can heal, but it was never enough. It kept going, and that's not healthy. It literally kept going the entire time. Everything was always this, or that. Once this, once that. And like I said, it was costing me my mental health because at this point, I'm just barely living life. I'm not healing. I'm constantly just adding to more trauma for myself, pretty much, And it wasn't until I realized that episode that night, like, wow, this is what it is. And this is not okay. And I got to a place where I said, you know what? We're not doing this anymore. We got to stop, And I went to work. And there was a guy I was talking to. He's an older guy who works there like just for fun, he's retired. And he basically was telling me about how he was in college. Then he got a good job in the restaurant industry, did that for a while. After that, he went ahead and moved to California. And I'm like, he did all this about his college degree? Like, you just upped and moved to another place? Moved to California, lived his life there, worked on some production, this or that, came back to Kansas City, found his wife, got married, then moved to Tennessee, and then he went back to college when he was older. And I'm like, oh, so you still got, like, in my head, I'm like, you still got married even though you didn't have a degree? I've always thought that, like, life has to happen in this certain order in order for it to happen. Life is still going, Kennedy. Just like how you have to go to middle school before high school before college. Yeah, that's how that has to happen in, chronological order. But your life doesn't. Life does not have this timeline. Time doesn't pause, because I don't have my degree. Girl, you're still 24. You're still going to be 25 next year without or with the degree. And I kind of started to realize I'm really wasting my life. I'm really wasting time. I'm honestly, holding back. I'm not getting anything out of life because I'm always waiting for things to be perfect. I'm waiting for things to go in this order. I can't move on and have a family of my own until my family, my home life is the way I want it to be. Then I can go out, get married, have my own kids. No, your home life might not ever get to be the way it should be, Kennedy. So you're going to have to get married regardless. I'm still getting older. I don't have this degree or this or that, but I'm still getting older. Life is still moving. And I have to realize that it's not stopping just because I haven't done things in the quote unquote order. I mean, that's just like a girl who, let's say she gets pregnant in high school. Oh, well, I can't have the baby yet because I ain't graduated high school. No, that's not how it works. The baby comes when the baby comes and you graduate school. Is that in the order that is quote unquote society wise correct? No, but the point is you did it. It doesn't matter. It can be done in whatever order. It does not need to be done in order. And that is now what I'm realizing. I need to keep moving in my life regardless. Swish, swish. I don't know if you've seen LA's Finest. She talked about how a shark will die if it doesn't keep moving. So the shark has to keep swimming, has to keep moving. And that's the same way. You got to be a shark. Keep going, keep moving. And that's what I'm trying to do now. I can't wait until I get my degree and push pause on my life and then think then I can make things happen. Things can happen for me now. I have to start celebrating my wins, start celebrating my accomplishments, a person, be happy for who I am, heal regardless of the order. I can do all of those things. That is goes more into also like what we're really going to cover in the next episode. If you guys have been on my TikTok already, you already know I started the free agent season and all of that. And I want to really talk to you guys on that episode about where the idea came from and how it's really been changing my life. And this talk with my friend, well, he was my friend. He really put me on in mentally, and it was just amazing. The series I've already started. It's also on YouTube and on TikTok. We're growing and healing together. Okay. We're not wasting any more time in our life to wait till our life is perfect or we live in a certain city. Do it now. Who cares where you live? Who cares what kind of car you drive? What job you have? You can, every moment, every day is a chance for you to create the life you want, you know? And if we keep being anxious, putting ourselves down, not feeling good about who we are, we're never going to actually make it to that point. And I like it because free agent to me, well, I'm talking about it later, but I'm going to tell you a little bit now. It's that crossover between that girl and hot girl summer. You know, everybody a hot girl. Everyone likes to think, oh, she's, you know, a thought. Like, that's not true. But also at the same point, that girl is just always focused. She doesn't go out. She just eats healthy and she doesn't hang out. No, we're going to live your life. That's what it is. Okay. You're going to heal, get better. We're doing all of it together. And I am so excited. I really hope you guys can just listen to this and just know you're not alone. Your accomplishments, things you have in life don't make you who you are. And I promise that we can get through this, pushing through it together. Be sure to follow the Instagram on Casey Locker Room Talk. Follow me on Instagram, KennedyBright24. Follow me on TikTok. That's where I'm always active. And we're going to get through this. And I'm so excited. Can't wait to hear you guys for the next week's episode. I got some guests coming together. I'm just pushing forward. I'm not going to keep waiting until I have the perfect guest. I'm not going to wait till I have the perfect episode. Y'all going to have to listen to me for a while, a couple solo episodes. I hope you don't mind. But we're going to get through this. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys. And I just cannot wait to get into this new journey of our life. It's not a game, ladies. It's a lifestyle. Okay? Bye.